Hi, Kirsten. Hello, everyone.
Hey. Hi,
We
everybody.
we are back with the conversation about the ICF core competencies, the changes, the updates, what's new, and how does that reflect upon the work that we should be doing as coaches. Kirsten, I'm really thrilled that we talk about this one because I know that they have just been published. They've been officially launched on the 8th of September. Considering of when we do this conversation now, it's just a week away. And more than that, I know that also last week there has been also internally between coach training providers town hall to talk about them. So if we just take all of that information so that everyone is aware of it, probably that would be best of how we want to frame today's small intervention. We have done, just to say it out there, we've done also a comparison for ourselves just to be able to present it also and talk to our participants in different courses. As we intend from now on, starting with September in all of our cohorts, to introduce the new core competencies. They're out there and you should be aware of them. And we find it that it's our responsibility to react very fast so all participants are kept up to date. We've done a comparison, but not just the ICF comparison or looking at what's new, but also to look at what has been added, which word, what has been changed, how is that, what's the change actually, what's the update. So
And I
we will
think
be
we
sharing
can
that.
say the good news is that there are not a lot of changes that are really significant. So if the main concern you have is, but I wasn't trained in these core competencies, how am I now going to get my credentialing exam or my performance evaluation?
Will
Breathe
still
deep.
work.
It's not a significant difference that would have any effect on credentialing at all.
Mm. So let's start with that actually. Start with a bit of a timeline. So they have been launched on the 8th of September. ICF's announcement was that they will be turned into or implemented in a credentialing exam and evaluation starting with 2026, second half of 2026. That basically means for whoever starts a course now, until the moment you book a course, go through the course, you're just hitting that moment when there's going to be a change. So if you start now, hence bracket here, hint, if you now intend to book a new coach training, maybe ask that coach training institute if they intend to use the new core competencies.
Yeah.
Because by the time you're over with that course, you should be aware of them so you can use them in the new taking the new the credentialing exam that's back then.
Yeah, although it's probably not going to make it a big difference because then you also have to think you need your 100 hours and short message.
If you start now.
If
Yeah.
you learn the old ones, you're probably very likely going to pass everything with the new ones as well because the differences are not significant.
True.
In my
And
humble opinion.
And it still gives you time if you are a new tending to start as a new coach, you have enough time to start with them now and until the official implementation in the evaluation, you're pretty much the moment when you start caring about it. If you are an existing coach looking at your next level of accreditation or going through different other courses, the ones that you have studied in your prior course, they're still valid and the changes are not massive, and the moment when you go for the credentialing exam doesn't have a huge impact on you. So first step, timeline. Second thing, Kirsten, maybe let's look at it from this perspective. If we think through the changes, let's just take, I don't know, 3, 4, the ones that we both feel like are the most significant ones, and then a lot of other things that come, because those small words, granted, they might have changed, but there are some that, to my opinion, they provide a different view on how do we look at coaching. Curious, where do you want to start? I would.
Why don't you just share the document and then we can have a walkthrough.
What I would.
Thank you, Christina, for preparing this.
What I would really find it useful is to highlight from the start, like here you see that they are referring to a certain set of competencies. Competency number 2 has been one of the competencies that got a couple of updates. You see how many now? There's pretty new ones added. So these 2 are completely added. What I would like to invite you, Kirsten, is to reflect from here also, because it says not only how we had it before, develops and maintains a curious mindset that it's open and so on, but it says engages in ongoing personal and professional learning and development as a coach. And the part that it's fresh, useful, is works with coaching supervisors or mentor coaches as needed.
Yeah. So I think if we look at core competency 2, what is important is the addition of ongoing professional development and learning, plus working with a supervisor. Then 2.2, we add the use of technology and our knowledge of the use of technology in as a competency, which I find very interesting in. And so these are the additions to what we're asked to do in our continuous professional development. In 2.4, we have the addition of biases. So remains aware and open to the influence of biases. And we have number 2, regulate, and 2.6, emotions was we just have a word change, regulate to manage. And I'm not sure what I think about that, but okay. The preparation, so the mental and emotional preparation for sessions is also widened to well-being. So I think in general, you could say supervision, continues learning with regard of technology, and a more, I would say, long-term focus on coach well-beings.
Yeah. You know my stance on this one, because I've been promoting a lot this idea of being aware of having a level of digital literacy, not to the point of saying you can add and fluster your client with all of different tools and new gadgets, but being aware so that you can respond to your client's need if they want to include technology. And I find it that that's what they're also trying here to highlight, is be aware that there are changes. Because I know that there has been also a couple of voices raised around, like, does that mean that coaches now really, really need to use technology? Not about that. It's about you as a coach being aware of the changes that technology bring in the process of coaching, or what might be useful in a coaching process, as long as the client is on board with it. Important to highlight. Should not be seen as I have to, should be seen as be aware of it, learn about it, and go to talk to your supervisor about it. I mean, at some point, we need to be aware of how do we gain that knowledge, and supervision has also that role of forming, right? If we add to this one, Kirsten, you know what I would also pick up is this here newly added, because it says nurtures openness and curiosity in oneself, the client, and the coaching process. And at the same time, they've added remains aware of the influence of one's thoughts, behaviors on the client and others. I really appreciated this addition with how much do we bring in the process from our own perspectives, and how much do you balance that to what the client really wants and really needs. Because I might be jumping a bit ahead, but I'm seeing the 2.10 very strongly correlated to this change that created a bit of a debate around shares, observations, and knowledge. I think the moment when we take them in connection, the sense of sharing knowledge without attachment still stays the same, without attachment, that have the potential to create new insights, and at the same time picking our mind of being aware of the influence of that. I think the two of them can make a stronger case in it. Coaching is not moving into the direction of we're just going to push knowledge on our clients. We still stay in the space of we're supporting the client to figure it out. What are your thoughts about this one?
No, I agree. And I think moving from learning to insights is widening, and then the ability to share knowledge is also, I think literally it is what a lot of coaches are doing. And as long as they're doing it without attachment and without the assumption that they're right as an option for the client, I have no qualms with it. depending what kind of a question it is. I mean, if somebody asks you how do I get to the railway station? You're not going to ask them, well, suppose you knew how to get to the railway station, right? So I don't think, I know that there's a lot of talk about that, but as long as it's relevant information and knowledge that the client may or may not use, and the client doesn't become dependent on the coach, why not?
Mm. What we're saying is a lot around this one, coaches being aware of how they do it. And I think that's
Exactly.
the number 2 that highlights exactly that, being aware also of the influence. There's one more that I've appreciated the change. And I think we've looked at this one together, Kirsten, is the 3 core competency number 3 now in 3.1, that it says describes one's coaching philosophy.
Yeah, and I think that's very important. The only issue is that I think the coaching world is not so well equipped to describe one's coaching philosophy. So if you're interested in reflecting on your own coaching philosophy, I think Solutions Academy is a good place to do that. Come to one of our free meetups just to check it out, because a lot of people have learned to coach very well by learning a number of techniques, interventions, and tools, but they haven't been taught the underlying philosophy of their approach. And I think it's very important to know what our theory of change is and why we think certain things. But that's been my pet peeve for years and years. And so now I'm happy that ICF has picked up on it.
True. And that makes me think again towards that connection to supervision and to working with your peers, into being able to also clarify for yourself and then being able to bring it up to your clients also. Pick up one more. The new ones that have been added is revisit the coaching agreement when necessary to ensure the coaching approach is meeting the client's needs. I think that's something that coaches were doing also in the past. I find it that now it's also clarified and directly added in here. Remains aware of what is emerging for self and the client in the present moment. I think that was something, again, that everyone used to do.
And
Now,
this dancing in the moment and becoming aware of what is happening in the moment. The idea of using self as instrument from Gestalt therapy has been around in the coaching world forever, but it's part from the very old minimum skills document where we had dances in the moment as a descriptor. This has been lost in the ICF documentation of good coaching. So it's, in a way, it is a re-entry.
and I think that highlight of in the moment is what can be seen also from the change of wording here, from communicated, which is past tense, to is communicating. What is the client right now in the moment communicating, and how are the two of them? What are the words and tone of voice that the coach should be integrated right now in the moment in the interaction? There's one thing that I do recall, and it was one of the elements that was very difficult to make also this difference of how do you actually celebrate? Remember, we have this celebrates the client's progress and successes. And now it turned into acknowledges the client's progress and successes. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, and there is a nice, I think, nice blog post on Solutions Academy blog on celebrating the client's progress called "Is the Coach a Cheerleader?" And it has this picture with an elderly woman with pom-poms on it, which I love dearly. And we've always said that what we really want to do as coaches is acknowledge or celebrate clients' growth in a way that expresses our joy about their progress, but also enables the client to experience the joy and the client to learn from their successes. So it's about clients' joy and clients' growth, and not coaches' joy and or even coaches' evaluation. So I think this acknowledging has more of a ring of, we are looking at the progress, we're acknowledging the progress, then maybe even in order to learn from that progress for the future. And it's not about, we are looking, yay, good job, in this patronizing manner. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
I think those are all the changes, and you can see they're not that many.
And it's not creating a new space where coaching should be positioned. I mean, it's the in the moment, it's the collaboration between the client and the coach. It is the responsibility of the coach to be aware of some things, to go to supervision now clearly highlighted. And I think that's one alignment that I would say, if I look also to the EMCC standards, where again, in the EMCC standards, there were the mention already of engaging with supervision. In ICF, we only had reflective practice. Now it's also supervision included. So I think as the coaching community, as the coaching world is moving towards the same perspective on coach, the further development and growth. Wonderful. Any other things that might be useful to add on this?
No, as you see, not much of a difference. So don't be worried. If you're worried, come see us in our free meetups. We'll help
And if
you.
worried, even after that, book an info call with any of us. Ask us questions. Let's talk about them also in one-to-one conversation. We're happy to share whatever we're discovering new about how this adapting. And if there's going to be other updates, we can talk about them also. Cool. Thank you very much, Kirsten.
Thank you.
See you next
Bye-bye.
time. Bye, everyone. Thank you.